Well, COVID, it has speeded up the processes that had been out there for quite a while. And indeed, culture organizations had to actually readjust real quickly to continue their mission. That's a really important question. There are many, many solutions that were implemented. Some of the museums created their digital twins. They regenerated their authentic building with authentic artifacts and exhibits to be able to actually remotely visit it through online, in VR or whatever. Some of the other museums started using social media, podcasts, video visits, use mediation much more. This is like a private visit with a private tour. In Toulouse, where I'm living right now, there's one museum called Quai du Sava. It's actually a scientific museum. And the manager of this museum was walking around the rooms in the museum and telling the audience interactively about the exhibits. That was all live. So some of the museum tried to surprise their visitors like this. Not all museums can actually afford those things and those digital fancy technologies. But apart from the COVID adaptation, there is an issue of generations. Kids of 10 years old, these are digital natives. They just, when you take them to the museums, they understand the culture products differently. They were born with smartphones and tablets in their hands. And their perception of the world is different. They perceive and absorb and consume information through the digital, through videos, through their screens. When cinema was created, so we're sitting in a cinema theater, and the screen is right there. So we have a lot of people sitting between ourselves and the screens. Then we had TV sets. So we had our TV set in the room. There's almost nobody or nothing between yourself and the screen. So this is all getting individualized. So this presence effect is closer, but we are still interacting. What happened with iPad and those tactile telephones? Okay, they're here. They are like 20 to 30 centimeters from your eyes. So the children who were born with these technologies, they are interacting with the video content much closer and much more direct. So their immersive effect is much stronger. And what about virtual reality? The screen is right close to your eyes. So I think the new generations, they perceive and consume everything through videos. So this issue is raising right now. Video content is a very heavy content. I mean, it takes a lot of space. And I think we will have to come back to something different, to some other formats. Not to burn down our planet, because it's all getting hot and hot and hot because it takes a lot of space. Yes, there is a carbon footprint in it, isn't it? Yes, there are several centimeters between we are and the eyes, and the next step it's going to be like the chip in your head, and then you're not going to have to take a lot of space for the video content because our brain will be producing huge spaces, and it's going to be much more interesting. Indeed, this issue of the carbon footprint the content leaves behind itself, and all this digitalization actually produces, because there are a lot of servers, they're making the planet much warmer. I don't know if everybody deletes all the unnecessary files to the trash bin. Then that would save a lot of lives and of animals, wild animals, and that would reduce the carbon footprints for so many points. So right now, this environmentally friendly movement has activated not through digitalization, but through other factors like oil and gas and everything, all the other fossil fuels. And there is total understanding that in every technology development, there are always negative impacts. There are positive stories, and yes, indeed, computerization and digitalization has brought a lot more positive things than negative. We all use smartphones where you can get any information from the entire world. 20 years ago, you could never even imagine that this would be true. I think iPhone was first presented like 15 years ago, or almost 15 years. And this has changed the lives of all people. I mean, it built new people, new technology, new society, new opportunities. I still remember when back in the 90s, I was trying to actually, I had to go to a library when I was a student at school. I had to find books to write about something for the history lesson. Right now, I don't need all those encyclopedias. I mean, even more if you can speak English and you can read English, you can get the first-hand information and then use Google Translate free of charge and translate it in 5 seconds into whatever language you want. And neural networks will adjust the translation and puts everything logically. They're not just translating words. I mean, it doesn't just translate words, it creates proper sentences. So there are many positive things. But actually, they always give birth to negative impacts. We have to be aware of this, think about it, and we need to actually think about that 3 steps before those happen to mitigate those adverse effects. We're not sure what we're going to see in the future in front of us, but I sometimes hear about a lot of digital ludism and pessimism when people keep saying that we need to ban these technologies, we need to come back to paper, to have it all organic, and to live back our natural life. But okay, let's forget about brushing our teeth and wearing our shoes. Let us continue dying. Okay, do you want to die when you're 20 like your ancient ancestors did? I mean, people evolve very fast. Our bodies do not catch up that much. And that's natural. We don't have to be afraid of this because we don't have any other options. We don't have to get scared. We just need to handle and manage things properly on a daily basis. Let's not pretend there are no issues, there are no problems, and everything's cool. And on the contrary, we don't have to think there are only problems, there is nothing good in life. I'm so happy that we are now sitting in a studio. During COVID, we are still talking to the rest of the world. We have many people behind the screen, and we are doing and shooting everything from 4 or 5 cameras. Everybody gets engaged in new technology, and even during COVID, we still managed to somehow communicate, and that thanks digital technology and their development. We can still communicate, we can webcast all around the world, we can interpret in different languages and give access to this knowledge and data to all the people who are interested through Facebook, YouTube, and other vehicles and media giants. So there are positive things and negative things as well, but we just have to use them properly in a proper time given the current situation. Please go ahead. I just wanted to say that this is an absolutely natural development. Whenever there is any technological leap, then we understand its impact and trying to adapt. Let's take cars. Can you remember the first cars more than 100 years ago? And only now we came to understanding why not doing it electric, because the scale has become huge. It used to be like 5 cars per city. They were traveling easily. And now with so much traffic, we just need to think about the environment and ethics. Same thing is going to happen to the digital technology. There's a leap. Okay, that's superb. That's fine. It has facilitated our life and made things easier. But now we need to think about the scale. We need to think about ethics, the environment, etc. No, because access to the internet is open to anyone, but we now thinking of whether the kids have to see everything they can or they want or not. This is a big issue. Conscious use of technology, this is the biggest trend in Europe right now. I'm engaged in many startups that create in the EU and outside of the EU a lot of new projects. And one of the areas of what we do in the content that we provide to the startups, this is impact first methodology. This is the methodology that helps startups to, first of all, single out and understand what kind of impact they create on the market, industry, their niche, or the ecosystem they interact with. We don't know what we don't know, but anyways, at least with the help of the experience that we've had already, we can project things about the potential impact some of those projects, digital projects, may have with the increased number of content and what's the potential footprint for the environment and social life, whether it's going to have any threats about it, whether it's going to bring about any pros and cons. And we need to analyze those as well. So I have a different analogy regarding what kind of development we now enjoy in the digital world. If we take a look at analog documenting, I think we are still not very developed. I think we still live in a rock painting world. And this exponential thinking has to be out there because we keep growing from the standpoint of the global population, from the standpoint of how many projects, events, content get generated only on single Instagram. On this platform, the Instagram has created much more CO2 emission than it used to be. So this is all about the footprint, impact, consequences, as well as about who's going to be responsible for keeping things environment friendly, whether those digital projects will be very damaging in terms of the environmental footprint. And not only environmental, but also social. Because we want to talk about whether it's worth using innovative technologies in highlighting historic events,